know her?
And then it's got like a quick release kind of thing.
Again, I mean, my father.
Yep, ready.
Hi everyone, welcome to our monthly CNA meeting, our Coronado Neighborhood Association meeting. We have a bit of a smaller group today, but that doesn't make it less fun. So thank you for coming. Since we got this going a little bit late, I'll cover a few of these things, and then we have a few guests tonight. Again, you know our board. I promised last time there would be looping fun facts, so we've done that. So, we'll put this on again to loop after if you want to hang out and chat with us and learn more about us. Membership report, we have 360 resident members and 65 business members. So that's steady, which is great. And we're almost $55,000 in checking and $64,000 in savings. And this will change pretty substantially within the next couple of weeks after our home tour event. So we're starting to see purchases coming out, like t-shirts. We actually just finalized and gave the go-ahead today for our annual t-shirts, and all kinds of spending, but we've had a lot of sponsorships come in already, and then we'll have money from ticket sales, etc. coming. If you don't already know about our giving program, probably many of you who are here already do, but members are eligible to apply for any of these categories. A lot of times we'll have, for instance, Joey, who plans our Oak Street Alley Mural Festival every year. Actually, I should have that in here, and I don't. But he often applies for like the Arts and Culture grant and gets some money towards his event, and we like to partner with people who are doing the like traffic or release of the feral kitties in our neighborhood, or safety things like, we also did some beautification projects, so that's really what this kind of money is for, and we like to give it away, so more applications, please. Our new issue of dispatch came out about a month ago, so if you did not get one in the mail, it means you're probably not a member, but you can pick them up outside of Sunshine Market and a couple of other places around the neighborhood. Normally we have some with us, but we have to figure out where they went.
We got a few today.
Oh, they are here.
I found it.
Okay. Well, great. There they are. So please take a copy. We do have a community action committee. We really want to encourage neighbors to get to know each other, to know, build phone trees, know who's living on your street, especially get engaged. We have a lot of resource. I'm just blanking today. Sorry, it's been a day. We have safety postcards normally that have resources on them. We schedule monthly community cleanups, which I'll talk about our last one and our upcoming one shortly. Really want to start activating public spaces. So Laura, for instance, has done a fantastic job organizing just like really low lift but fun events like a Pup Cup meetup at the park to activate some of these spaces, or like the Pie Club social right around Thanksgiving. Everybody brings a pie and it's a potluck. So those are the things that our Community Action Committee is working to do. And again, just like a QR code if you want to get this template to build a phone tree and connect with your neighbors. We do, as promised, have a community cleanup coming on Saturday, February 14th, so just over a week from now, because it's Valentine's Day. Make Coronado your Valentine, show us some love. And then we'll be at Coronado Park as we are getting ready for home tour, which takes place there, and want to spruce it up a little bit. So please come out. It's at 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., so just 2 hours. We do have a lot of buckets and pickers and trash bags and gloves. Of course, if you have your own, we encourage you to bring them. We also have a Day to Save Loteria. We've done this 2 years in a row now. It's been really fun. It's basically like bingo, but we solicit neighbors to create the art that goes on the game boards, and then we have a DJ and an MC. We have food trucks and prizes, so it's a pretty fun evening, and that's coming up at the end of April. We've confirmed the same MC and DJ for the event as well, and they do an awesome job. And this was this past month's cleanup right here on McDowell Road. And what was really fun is we had a civics teacher from Coronado High reached out, and his government classes they have a project where they're supposed to get involved with the communities by either like attending a couple school board meetings or going to city council meetings or some of these civic things, but also encourage them to multiple young men, one of them featured over here, help us clean up, and they actually, I would say, collected the most trash of anybody by far. So we're pretty proud of that, and we're really happy to start engaging high school students. So hopefully they'll go tell their friends and not just make it a check mark for their grade. We also, just this last weekend, we helped sponsor the Porch Concert Series. We don't plan this ourselves, but we partner with Brad and Jess and their whole team to help this come off without a hitch. So it's a wild success. This was a series of, is it 4 stops?
I think so.
4 stops, but I think 6 bands and some food trucks there. And so they have a mobile trailer with a band. So as you go from stop to stop, you don't have to stop listening to music. You just follow the band on the trailer all the way to the next stop. And it's a great time.
I like the theme.
Yeah, that was really fun. It was Porch Pirates of the Coronado. So they did a great job, and the trailer was like a pirate ship with the pirate skull and all kinds of fun stuff. And I mentioned home tour. Oddly enough, I didn't put a slide that actually tells you when home tour is, but it's coming up on February 22nd. Sunday from 10 to 4. We do have volunteer slots available. Being a volunteer is only 2 hours unless you want to sign up for multiple shifts, which we certainly appreciate. You get a free Coronado t-shirt, a free home tour ticket to go check out the homes in the other hours when you're not volunteering. We have a thank you reception for our home hosts and volunteers coming up on the 20th. And we hope you volunteer with us. It's a really fun day. There's all kinds of things from like helping us set up or break down, helping out at the ticket booth, event photographer. Someone's a great photographer and wants to help us like document the event for a couple hours. What other positions do we have?
Trash and cleanup.
Trash and cleanup. Yep.
Set up.
The sexy
At the
ones,
end of
trash.
the day, helping some of the vendors get their things because we open the street again, so.
Yep, we're back. And that's an update. So we did move the street fair back to the street. We were trying to have it in the park, and there were just some limitations, some logistical things that were holding us back. So we are confirmed. We have it back on the street, so right on Collin Lane between 12th and 13th Street, and a little bit on 13th Street as well. So those will be closed off just for 8-ish hours, 10 hours. So it's really a lot like the home tour you know and love from the last quite a few years. We do not have a beer garden this year. Our team is small and scrappy, and we decided to prioritize what we were doing, and we figure we will encourage people to go enjoy and imbibe at our neighborhood establishments like the Main Ingredient, who is our amazing top sponsor, but we also have like Arizona Wilderness and the Coronado and places like that. You can buy home tour tickets, so those are $25, and if you're a CNA member, you get $5 off of your tickets. And a little birdie told me there might be a sale on tickets coming up pretty soon in the next week or so. It's just a one-day sale, so keep an eye out for some of our communications. So I also mentioned this Coronado t-shirt, and I wanted to tease the design a little bit. We were really excited about this, that Neighbor designed the art. So this is just pixelated, just like if you saw some indecent footage on the news. Because I just wanted to tease it for you, right? The design is very colorful and bright and beautiful, but we didn't want to give it all away. So not only do we have 4 colors of the t-shirt available at the CNA booth at Home Tour, as I mentioned, volunteers and home hosts get the shirts for free and get them a day early, or 2 days early. But we're also made this design into stickers this year. So if you're a sticker fiend, like our friend Allie over here, for example, it's gonna go like probably real prominent right there. So stickers, and then we also have online shop that they will be available if you wanted to get, for example, a sweatshirt with the design instead of just a t-shirt. So hopefully everyone's excited. We are real jazzed about the design. I also wanted to very briefly introduce Trellis, who is our host tonight. They provide homeownership counseling, financial access, neighborhood development. They've been a really great partner to the CNA over the years. So they provide a great resource for people to get into their first homes, for example. So regardless of income, education, or background, they really want to help individuals families become homeowners. So we thank them for the use of this space. And this is not the official end of the presentation, this was the end of the looping one, so I will switch over and really get to our guests because they are why you came today. So this is actually officially a different meeting format than we've been doing for quite some time. We thought we would try an earlier start time with a little bit of social time ahead, so people could mingle, have snacks, chat with us, ask questions, and that gives us a little bit more leeway with setup as well, as you probably witnessed with us here at the projector today. Fewer recaps is the goal, although it didn't necessarily work out yet. Eventually looping slides with these updates before and after, so that while you're mingling before or after, you're seeing some of that, and you don't have to hear me say the same thing about giving the program every time, but we can just do light updates on stuff like that. You should also expect to see more emails from us, so not only notification of meeting, more recaps of what happened at the meetings. We know, our neighborhood is more than 4,000 households. Not that many people fit in this room. So we want to make sure people are really getting more information from us. And really just hoping that, with our guests and the issues that we're covering or the opportunities that we're covering, there's more opportunity for discussion among all of us, problem solving as needed. So that's the goal with these meetings. And then, I already talked about trellis. So for ring, so we're gonna go with our other guests for now, and then let Frank go when he gets here. And then you want to plug in. Okay.
Thanks for the opportunity to present to you guys. My name is Eric Crocknow. I'm with the City of Phoenix Community and Economic Development. Thank you. Get our slides going here. We have an exciting major event coming to downtown Phoenix, the 2026 NCAA Women's Final Four. So you may be familiar, Super Bowl, Men's Final Four. Now we're excited to host the Women's Final Four, and I will introduce Jen Barnett, Director of Operations with the Arizona Sports and Events Council, to kind of kick us off and share more information about that. So we'll be around for questions after.
Awesome. Thank you, Eric. I'm going to take up an extra 60 seconds because that presentation got me completely excited. The themes in that are going to align so well with what we're going to talk about. And I also was a short-term resident of Coronado neighborhood, so I'm excited to be here. I loved my time at 9th and Monte Vista and love this neighborhood. So, as Eric said, I'm Jen Barnett. I work with an organization called the Arizona Sports and Events Alliance, and we are the state's host committee that helps bring major events to the state. And we focus on those events that happen once a year and move around location to location. So this year we are focusing on the 2026 Women's Basketball Final Four with the NCAA. It is the first time we have hosted this event in Arizona, so it is an historic moment. And it is sneaking up on us. We are 56 short days away from the event coming to Arizona. And our organization believes it is important to host major events because we can showcase us on a global platform. This event is viewed by over 100 countries worldwide. It's a chance for us to show the world why we love to live here, why they should visit, maybe want to work here. It also gives us a chance to bring substantial economic impact to our community, and we run community events that leave a lasting legacy. In addition to that, this event is special because these are college athletes. These are student athletes. The women that come and participate in this event are in their late teens and early 20s. And this shows, all roads lead to Phoenix. All roads lead to Arizona at this event. Some of these women, they will play their last game, their last basketball game of their career, because they're not moving on to the WNBA. And so we know that as a state, we do this better than anyone else. We want to roll the red carpet out for these student athletes, for all the visitors, their families, and the NCAA. So just to share with you what to expect on event week. In addition to the games, the Final Four games, there are a plethora of events. And we will touch on all of these in future slides, but the big call out is everything is free. Anything that's not inside Mortgage Matchup Center down where the Phoenix Suns and Mercury play, is a free event. And so we just wanted to touch on these so you all know what the community can expect. First, we're calling it the Championship Campus. This is where all the events will happen. This is the first weekend of April. It aligns with Easter weekend, but we'll have from Hants Park stretching all the way down to Mortgage Matchup Center. And we also have Chase Field on the map because the Diamondbacks are gonna be home all week. It is gonna be hopping downtown for sure. So first up, Turning Town. This will run Thursday, April 2nd through Sunday, April 5th. This is a free fan fest. It's interactive, it's a chance to, kiddos can play games, there'll probably be some autograph sessions, just some cool stuff to see behind the scenes of women's basketball. In Turning Town is another small event that the NCAA calls Beyond the Baseline. This is a series of panels that will be scheduled. We don't have a schedule yet, but local leaders, national leaders, talking whether it's about the business of sports, talking about hopefully some social and cultural issues that are impacting Arizona at this time. We are working with the NCAA on the programming of this, so more to come as that gets scheduled. For It All Fest, this is exciting because it's a new event to the Women's Final Four, so we get to be the first to have it. This will take place on 3rd Street at the Convention Center between Washington and Monroe. Think of it like a tailgate, a block party style event, live music, maybe some DJs, some entertainment, and then it'll also be a watch party. And so if you don't have tickets to the game, but you wanna be with the crowd in an energetic spot, they will show the women's Final Four games, plus the men's semi-final games on Saturday. And totally free to get into, close to Turning Town, easy to catch it all at one time. Moving on to Saturday, April 4th, this is a big day for downtown Phoenix. Bounce, I don't know if everyone was here during men's Final Four, and if you remembered an event called Dribble. 3,000 kiddos under the age of 18 dribbling basketballs through the streets of downtown. What can go wrong? But we were on another meeting and I was saying last year was in Tampa and theirs was along a waterway and there were actually balls in the water, so I'll take kiddos on the streets any day. This happens in the morning on Saturday, totally free to register. So registration will open on February 24th and every kid gets a basketball and a t-shirt as a take home. They start in Heritage Square Park, dribble through the streets, and then they get to go into Turning Town and play the day away. Next on Saturday is Super Saturday Open Practice. So this is a free event with the 2 teams that win on Friday. They have an open practice on Saturday, and it's just a cool up close and personal moment with them. Totally free to get into. You'll register for tickets to get in, but that's just so we know if we have to open the upper bowl or the lower bowl in the arena. Aiming for early afternoon, you can expect, but it's a fun vibe. Lots of loud music, kiddos trying to get on the Jumbotron, fun stuff like that. And then that night, we will cap off the day with Super Saturday Concert. So this is happening at Hants Park, and as you all know, with previous events, it's been like a 3-day music festival. It is not the case with this, it's a one night only. We expect it to be dates to open early evening. They've been tracking on musical artists that are younger female artists, since it is a women's basketball event, so we anticipate the same, and we'll know those artists probably early March. This is just an overview of kind of everything I just said, but so you can see how it stacks up that week. Again, it'll be really, really busy. I think it'll be hopping downtown. The only thing that we didn't talk about is Friday, April 3rd and Sunday, April 5th are the actual games that happen at Mortgage Matchup Center. So 2 on Friday and then the championship on Sunday. Talking about that lasting legacy, these major events come to town, they do give us a chance to partner with the governing body and do some events on our own. But one of our favorites with the NCAA is a program called Read to the Final Four. They started this in 2026, so we've had the good fortune of doing it in 2016. So we did it in 2017, 2024, 2026. Totally free, open to all schools in Arizona, and it's for 3rd graders. And it's a bracket style challenge where they read as many minutes as they can. And throughout the school year, we start to narrow it down, and the final 4 schools who read the most minutes get a field trip to Turning Town on Thursday. So we have over 12,000 students participating, and as of earlier today, they've read nearly 15 million minutes. So it's very impressive. They're crushing it and they're very excited. Sustainability. We know that when major events come to town, they are kind of a drain on resources. They take a lot and they bring a lot with them. Signage, things, we hang things on fences, pole banners, inside the convention center. It takes a ton to build out these cool activations. And it's our goal and our mission to make sure this has the smallest impact on the environment as possible. So we work closely with all the venues, with the event organizers, with the city of Phoenix, to keep as much out of landfill as possible. So we have material recovery efforts, food recovery efforts at every venue, at every event, to make sure all of that is getting into the hands of nonprofits who can use that. And then community greetings. So because this is a college event, we are working with the 4 Division I schools across the state to host campus or community greetings. I will not be with you on Saturday, February 14th, because I will be in Tucson. We are doing One With U of A that day, so we will all be cleaning together. But we do strive to work really closely with our partners to ensure we are as green as possible. One of those partners is the City of Phoenix. The City of Phoenix helps us set a very lofty goal of having the events at the convention center be zero waste events. And in order to be a zero waste event, you have to divert at a minimum 90% of everything from the landfill from that event. So we work with them on that material recovery and that food recovery piece, but they work really hard because they could not do it without volunteers within the city who sort everything. And it is an army of volunteers sorting through every bit of trash that comes through there to make sure it works. It sounds daunting, it is daunting, but we pulled it off for Super Bowl, we pulled it off for Men's Final Four, and we know we're gonna do it again. Legacy Port Project. This is again something the NCAA brings to town wherever they host a basketball Final Four. This year they have selected the Washington Activity Center, which is up off about the 17th and Bethany home, as the recipient of this project, and they will get a full renovation of their community center. Refurbish the court, new bleachers, new scoreboards, new ball pads, outdoor court will be refinished, a very cool mural. And if you guys, we did this in 2017, that was at Harmon Park nearby. In 2024, it was at Eastlake Park down off 16th and Jefferson. So it's a chance for us, the games are done, the NCAA leaves town. This is something that will last in our community for years, if not decades. And then volunteers, right? Are you seeing the themes? I was so excited. We are currently on the search for volunteers. We could not run major events without volunteers. No one does this better than Arizona. We want to roll that red carpet out, so it's folks at the airport greeting visitors, folks on light rail stations or around downtown offering directions, working around events. We need about 1,000 volunteers, and they'll be stationed throughout downtown and at the hotels. So at the end, we have a QR code where you can go to our website for get involved. We think we're nearing the point, like we're getting folks to sign up, but if you know of anyone in your life or you're interested, please do join us. Road closures, we always like to review these so our citizens know what to expect. The good news with this event is there's very minimal additional road closures because we will be at Mortgage Matchup and then the Diamondbacks games. It'll be normal closures downtown that you see anytime there's 2 events going on. Really the only addition is 3rd Street will be closed between Washington and Monroe for that For It All Fest. So that'll be from March 28th through April 7th. 3rd Street will be closed. Some additional temporary road closures to keep our kiddos safe as they're dribbling through the streets of downtown will happen the morning of Saturday, April 4th. Not all of them will be closed 6 a.m. to 11 a.m. because Phoenix PD is really helping us make sure we're rolling them closed. So they're closed just for the times they need to be, but it allows the kids to go from Heritage Square Park around and then into the convention center. And this is late breaking news. We literally just got a first version of the map for a concert at Hans Park. So this is very TBD. And my team, who does a much better job first, the concert is April 4th and loadout will end April 7th. We anticipate the main entry to be at 2nd and Moreland. So that dark solid red line will be closed and likely kind of fenced in as a part of the park. The yellow lines will be closed to local traffic only, so those businesses and homes in those areas won't be impacted, they'll still be able to get in and out. And then that red dotted line, we anticipate probably being closed the day of the event to allow for pedestrian traffic to get in and out. So very limited closures up there, but this has still got a little bit of work to do. And then just one quick slide, just to showcase how busy it'll be downtown. In addition to all those things I showed earlier, we've got back-to-back meetings, Monday to Sunday. Friday is also First Friday. We also have Kamala Harris will be at the Arizona Financial Theater at the speaker series, so it's gonna be buzzing. Lots to do. And then Park PHX, always a good resource for our neighborhoods downtown. This is something the city of Phoenix put together around Super Bowl and then men's Final Four, and it was so useful that they've made it evergreen. So this does not only apply to events, this is an active website, parkphx.com, that anytime if you guys got guests or visitors or you're gonna head downtown, you can pre-book parking. And it's not just city lots and city garages, but they've brought in a ton of partners, and so you can really kind of see the landscape and see pricing and know what you wanna get your parking purchase before you get down, saves some headaches, so always something good to know. And then lastly, our QR codes. The top one takes you to our social media. The bottom one is our website, which is just phoenixfinal4.com. That's where you can get more information, sign up for our newsletter, sign up to be volunteers, and as we learn more about the events, it'll all be populated there. And that does conclude our presentation. Eric and I are here to answer any questions you have about the event, the planning, the week of, so please let us know.
I have a question. With volunteers, are you guys accepting like youth volunteers, like high school?
No, we are 18 and over.
18 and over.
Yes, that's a good question. And we are here as a resource through the event. Contact us through the website. We've got our contacts. Just let us know anything at all. But we'd love to see you out there. Yes?
Question, all the auxiliary city services that are used, like the police and all that stuff, who pays for that?
So it depends on the event. The city works with us on this, and we work with the NCAA, so it depends on each piece of it. And so the city has a resolution for this event that was passed, I believe, in 2018 to provide some of these services. And then really a big service they provide us is they help us with things like permit applications. So we pay for the permit, but they help us make sure we know exactly what we have to do every step along the way. So it's very smooth for the organizers.
So the NCAA doesn't?
They pay for some of it, not all of it, yeah. So, which is why we love to keep things like street closures to a minimum, and we're not doing that.
Any questions?
Thank you all, we appreciate your time.
Thank you. Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah.
Cool. Hi, everybody. Frank Ramirez, our neighborhood liaison, here to talk about some fun code compliance. And if you wanted to just come over here and then you can.
Okay. All right, hello everyone. My name is Frank Ramirez. I'm from the Neighborhood Services Department. My title is Neighborhood Specialist. It's community engagement. That's what this is assigned to District 7. However, right now I'm providing interim coverage for District 4. I have from 15th Avenue over to the 51 freeway, from McDowell on up to, I believe, right around Glendale. So my role is just coming out to the community meetings, meeting with neighborhood organizations, leadership, community engagement, community development, supporting, trying to empower residents, giving them information, being a connector basically between the city and the communities. So today I'm going to go over code compliance. One of the biggest resources that we have is our preservation staff, our inspection staff that go out and address blighted properties. They're like Phoenix's HOA when there is no HOA. So that's part of what compliance is. I used to be an inspector. I've been with the city for 20 years. I was an inspector for 5 years. Then I became a supervisor of an inspection team. And then I've been in this engagement role for 2 years. It'll be 2 years in April. So I love my job, love community support, love dealing with people. So yeah, so let's get into it. And then if you have questions, go ahead and ask questions, and we'll roll through it. Right. So Code Compliance 101, Neighborhood Services Department. So our motto is to preserve, enhance, and engage Phoenix neighborhoods. So code enforcement policy is to promote the health, safety, and welfare of Phoenix residents, protect neighborhoods from blighting and deteriorating conditions that have a negative impact on area property values, and encourage social disorder and crime. Residents shall be fairly, sensibly, and reasonably applied to promote the maintenance of all existing buildings and land in the city of Phoenix. Ensure that individuals and families do not suffer undue hardship. So these are the ordinance that Neighborhood Services Department enforces. City Code Chapter 39, which is the Neighborhood Preservation Ordinance. Chapter 41, which is zoning ordinance. City Code Chapter 10, which is business and mobile vending regulations. And City Code Chapter 8, which is the animal ordinance, which has to do with pigeons, poultry, roosters, swine, goats, you name it. I mean, before I got to this, I didn't even know that we enforce on so many things, but yeah, if you can think of it, we probably have an enforcement rule for it. So the top 8 violations. So this is what our inspection staff, when they go out, these are the things that they're gonna look for. These are the things that they're allowed to look for when they go out and they, if they're responding to a case that's been created. These are the things that they're able to look for. They're not able to go out and look for things that are going to cause hardship on people, like roofs and large dead trees and those kind of things. These are the things that they're going to be looking for. So it's graffiti, junk litter, debris, vegetation, which is usually grass and weeds over 6 inches, fences in disrepair, unsound fences, inoperable vehicles, outside storage, which is accumulation of outside property, which is visible from beyond the boundaries of the property. Non-dust-proof parking, which is parking on a surface that's not dust-proof, so grass, dirt. Vacant and accessible structures, so open vacant structures. So let's look what it says down below. Per the NSD Code Enforcement Policy adopted by City Council, when an initial inspection is conducted based on a complaint, the inspector may expand upon the initial complaint and determine whether any of the above violations also exist. So when they go out to a case, when they go out to respond to a report, a complaint, they're gonna check the property on both sides of that initial complaint, and then they're also gonna check the other property, the 3 properties on the other side. They call it the line of sight. And what that does is, that keeps everybody on a level playing field. So when, say you're the property there that got reported for grass and weeds, you're not gonna be the only one. If your neighbor across the street has grass and weeds also. So that's gonna keep everybody on the level playing field. It's gonna keep everybody from being singled out. So that's how that works. So that's written in the policy that when they go out to respond to the initial, they check everybody. And they're also checking all the other properties on the street for the egregious ones and making sure that everybody's on the same level, basically. So we're gonna go through them now. They're the top 8 violations. So graffiti, the numbers next to it is the code in the Unicode. So all sidewalks buildings, fences, signs, and other structures shall be kept free from graffiti. Neighborhood Services Department also has the graffiti buster service. It's a free service to the residents of the community. All you have to do is fill out a form that basically says that you'll allow the graffiti technicians onto the property to remove graffiti. They'll go out there, they paint match. It's a wonderful service that they offer. So that's the Neighborhood Services Department resource that we have. That's graffiti violation. There's a couple of pictures of graffiti. I'll cry for ice cream, never for men.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting, huh?
Right? Yes. Yeah, you never know what you get with graffiti. All right, junk, litter, debris. So here's a picture of debris at a property. And this kind of applies to anywhere on a property. You can't have junk, litter, debris nowhere on the property. And then in addition to the property, their owners are also responsible for maintaining half of the adjacent alley or right of way. So that's for that violation. Vegetation, that covers weeds, bushes, trees, and other vegetation, so grass and weeds over 6 inches. And also, any dry vegetation, which becomes a fire hazard, and also, dead branches, dead palm fronds, dead trees, dead palm fronds within 10 feet of the ground. So that's kind of an important one. So that, our code only covers dead palm fronds that are within 10 feet from the ground. So those large palm trees that have dead palm fronds, our code doesn't touch them. We're not allowed to, it's only if they're 10 feet from the ground or less.
You
Yes.
said something about large dead trees not being.
So dead trees are, it's just palm fronds. Only palm fronds. It's because the tree itself, the palm tree itself is alive. It's just the palm fronds.
Right, right.
Our code only covers palm fronds less than 10 feet from the ground. But dead trees, doesn't matter if it's 50 feet tall, a dead tree is a dead tree, it'll be covered. It's-
Oh, I thought you said it wouldn't be covered.
No, it
by
is.
dead trees.
Yeah,
I
dead tree. It's just the dead palm fronds.
Yeah, I heard it totally wrong.
Yeah, no, dead trees are covered. Any dead vegetation except the palm fronds, it's more than 10 feet from the ground, then our enforcement isn't covered. Unsound fence and walls, so fence, screen walls, and retaining walls must be safe, structurally sound, and uniform and compatible in color. They shall be maintained to not present a blighted appearance. So there's a couple of photos. So you see the top one is a block wall that is definitely unsound. Looks like you can probably run into it and knock it over. The bottom one is a wood fence that is mismatched, presenting definitely a blighted appearance. Inoperable vehicles. So simple term for an inoperable vehicle is a vehicle that cannot be legally or safely operated on public roadways, often due to mechanical failure, damage, or lack of registration. This definition down here is from the actual code itself, so it's a lot more descriptive. But basically, if you see these cars here, this one here is a flat tire, it's on jacks. Same thing up here, it's missing tires completely, so both easily identifiable as in violation.
Is that only if they're on the property or also?
So, that's a good question. So, on private property, Neighborhood Services Department, we have jurisdiction for that. On the streets, that's police department. So, good question, thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, on private property, it's Neighborhood Services Department. If it's on the streets, then it's police department, they have jurisdiction.
And regardless of the violation, people get a time frame over which they can.
So it's like,
Come into
it's 15
compliance.
days for repairing vehicles, yes, so how that works is, so say a property gets reported for an inoperable vehicle, we pull up, we see this, the inspector comes up, and I'm gonna go through the actual notice process, that's actually coming a little bit later in the slides, but say a property gets reported, the notice gets sent out, the inspector goes out, he sees this, so what he's gonna do is gonna issue a notice, it's a 15-day notice. He'll come back out if the vehicle gets repaired. He comes back on the 16th day. If the vehicle's repaired, it's no longer inoperable. Then at that point, the case can be closed. If it still looks like this, then it goes to the next step in the enforcement process, which is issuing this. He can issue a citation. He can make contact with the owner, grant them a little bit more time. Say, hey, you know what? You issued a notice. If I give you another week, can you fix it? And so I have to give you a citation. So there's a couple of ways that he can proceed, but yes, you're right. There is that 15-day grace period, I guess, that they can fix the repair that they get. So outside storage, this is an accumulation of personal property that's visible from beyond the boundaries of the property. So all personal property must be stored in the house or where it is not visible from beyond the boundaries of the property. For this subsection only, yard does not include the portion behind the primary structure. So of course, everybody is allowed to put stuff behind their home, whether it's visible or not. You know, if you don't have a fence behind your home, but you need to put stuff behind your home. So this section does not include the rear yard, so you're allowed to put stuff behind your home in the rear yard. Outside storage on residentially zoned properties that can be seen from beyond the boundary. Property line is not allowed. Generally, any equipment, building, or landscaping materials, parts, auto parts, appliances, or any scrap items may not be visible. So here you see a couple of photos. One is in the carport. There's just a bunch of miscellaneous items. Down here, there's some items. It looks like there's tires here, some plastic buckets, and just miscellaneous items. So that's what personal property is there.
Are there any sensitivities with like hoarding situations?
Say it again, I'm
Are
sorry.
there any sensitivities with hoarding situations?
With hoarding or boarding?
Yeah, hoarding.
It's case by case. I mean, there is, once they make contact with somebody and they find out, you know, how bad it is,
Right.
then we can usually kind of see if there's additional resources that are needed.
So
for
you
that
guys
person.
just appoint somebody in?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Once that personal contact is made, it's not always enforcement. You know, we're always looking to try to work with that person and see what is the best way to proceed with this person. You know, it's not always about enforcement, it's always about, you know, what other resources may be available. You know, sometimes we're always bringing in, you know, a partner or whoever else can, you know, it might be, you know, another agency or whatever to work with this person to see if they, you know, if they need help, then that's what we're always trying to do, so. Yeah.
What is the enforcement?
So it's a citation, or so notice of violation, and then there's citation, and I'm gonna go through it here too, and then there's abatement, there's criminal, there's a whole bunch of different things that we have, that the neighborhood services fund can do. So vacant and accessible structures, so it's just a building or structure that has been vacant and secured for more than 48 hours on more than one occasion during a 12-month period. All openings must be secured to city specifications. So this is a big one. It's a liability for the community. It's a liability for the property owner. You know, these are always like really high on our priority list because of the bad things that can happen with, you know, somebody taking a child in there, you know, the possibility of homeless setting up in here and the nuisance of it becoming, that's actually what it's, the code that it's under is a nuisance. So these are always a priority on our list. And this is actually addressed by our abatement team. It's different than our regular inspection team, and I'll go through that on the slides coming. So this is the standard and code enforcement process. So resident makes complaint is logged on the computer with our customer service team. It's assigned to the inspector in the area. If there's no history with the 12 months, then they'll get a pre-notification letter. It's sent within 48 hours. What that letter is, it says, hey, your property's been reported for grass and weeds or trash and litter. An inspector's gonna be out within 7 to 10 days. If he shows up and there's no violations, then the case will be closed, there's no violations. If there are violations, then they'll proceed with the normal enforcement process. So an inspection is conducted within 10 days. If a violation is found, then a notice of violation is issued. Unoccupied property, if the property is unoccupied, a pre-notification letter is not issued. Instead, an inspection is done immediately. Okay, so if the violation is found, a notice of violation is issued. At the end of the expiration, a notice of violation, the property is re-inspected. Okay, so if the violation has not been corrected, civil or criminal court action may be pursued and or contractual abatement may be completed. So 90% of the time, if it's just a regular top 8 violations, they're gonna issue a 15-day notice of violation. 16th day they come out it's not corrected, they're gonna either make contact with the owner by knocking on the door, calling the number in the water records. They're gonna say, hey, you know, I issued you a notice, I don't know if you've got it yet, but can you please, you know, correct the violations that I sent the notice for? I'll give you another week, can you do that? If you don't, then I gotta issue you a ticket. He can either do that, or he can issue a ticket straight off the bat. It's kind of at their own discretion. If they don't still correct the violations, then they issue a ticket. And then they go through the court process, and I'll go through that on the next slide as well. In the end, when we go through our process, we don't close a case until all the violations are corrected. So the end result benefits the entire neighborhood, because the violation is gonna get corrected one way or another. So standard notice timeframes. So standard notice of ordinance violation is 15 days. Exceptions are, if it's something that's significant cost or time to correct. So if it's a roof violation, they gotta get bids. They might have to save money. So that's gonna be a 35-day. That's the most, the highest amount of time that we can get for notice of violation. So that's a 35-day notice of violation. Abatement, and I'll go through that. That's always 35-day notice of violation. If it's an imminent hazard, something that's a threat to the health and safety of the neighborhood, that's gonna be like 24 hours. That's gonna be immediate. Graffiti is 10 days. Rental registration, 10 days. Illegal signs, 5 days. Mobile vending, 0 to 15 days.
What is rental registration? Is that that?
So if you're an owner and now you rent out your home, you're supposed to register your home now as a rental. So if you don't register it as a rental, it's a violation. So now say the neighbors see that it's people are just kind of, you know, there every 6 months or every year, and they notice that it's a rental. They look at Maricopa County and they see that that's not registered, because Maricopa County, if you punch in that address, it'll show at the bottom of that screen if it's registered as a rental. If it's not, then they can report it to Neighborhood Services Department, and we can create a case for it. So we'll send out the notice for the registration rental.
How do you verify that's what's happening?
So we can look up a couple of different ways. So we can either make contact with the property itself, knock on the door, you know, talk to somebody there. A lot of times the person will tell us, oh yeah, we are the renters. We can look at the water records. If it's different from the person who's listed on Maricopa County assessors, a lot of times there's the person listed in Maricopa County, the tax records are getting sent to a different address. So there's a couple of different ways that we're able to kind of see right off the bat, you know, if they have different ownership where they're maybe getting the tax records sent to a different address, and then, you know, water records show like a tenant is now there at the property, and we go there and we actually make contact with that person, or we're able to call them and say, hey, we noticed that you signed up for water. Is this a rental? Oh yeah, it is. Okay, and then we got them. So
Why do you need people to report that? Why couldn't you just figure that out by running a database or something like that?
well, because it's complaint based. That's one of the things. That's with that policy. Our inspection staff are only able to do the top 8. That's all that we're able to, you know, that's just kind of something that city council, when they went through and put this ordinance into effect, that's what they only wanted our staff to be. And that's mainly because that's the stuff that affects the beauty of a neighborhood. You know, the grass and weeds, the inoperable vehicles, the broken down fences, the vacant secured, you know, that's what affects the beauty of the neighborhood. So that's the main things they wanted our guys to concentrate on when they're in there. So this is the court process. So whenever they issue the notice and there's no progress made, they haven't got compliance, they're gonna issue a civil citation. Then there's gonna be an arraignment that's scheduled. At the arraignment, if the arraignment is scheduled usually after the citation issued, the arraignment is scheduled 30 days out, usually 30 days out. At the arraignment, the person who got the ticket, the property owner or the tenant, whoever got the ticket, they can plead responsible, pay the ticket, pay the fine. But if the violation hasn't been corrected, then they're still eligible for another citation because the violation still remains. So they can either, but if they have paid, if they plead responsible and the violation's been corrected, then the case can be closed at that point. The inspector goes back out, take photos, everything's good, he can close it. At the arraignment also, they can also request a hearing. So then the hearing gets scheduled out another 30 days. So now we're talking about civil citation has been issued. Now you got 30 days for the arraignment. Now you're talking another 30 days for the hearing. And the hearing and the sentencing kind of go together because at the hearing, you're in front of the judge. The person can make now they get to present their case to the judge. Say they feel like they were issued the citation, they feel like the inspector issued the citation in the wrong. So now they want to plead their case to the judge. That's their time to do it at the hearing. They can also, if they spent, $500 to cut the grass and weeds, put in a new fence, that's their time where they can say, hey, judge, this is what I had to do. I had to do this. I got $300 in fines and I spent $500 to correct the violations. A lot of times what will happen is the judge will allow offsets, meaning there's $300 in fines, but he spent $500 in to correct the violations. So they'll take that 500 and take the 300 away. So even though they're found responsible, there's no fines that the person has to pay. So sometimes it works out to the person's advantage to go to hearing. So it doesn't happen all the time, but that's what we used to tell people, hey, it might be in your best interest to actually go to the hearing and plead your side of the case. If you feel like, that I issued the citation, you feel like I didn't issue the citation or I'm in the wrong. So that's kind of the court process for civil. Everything we issue is civil or the inspector's issue is a civil citation.
Realistically, how often does that happen?
I want to say it was, I think they want about 85% voluntary compliance. So I think this is 15% of the time that it has to go to citation. They're always looking for voluntary compliance.
The reason I asked is there's a property that I've reported 3 times, and the inspectors got back to me and he said that he's had 3 35-day notices. And then he responded, I said, well, does it end right here? He said, well, we can't go and remove all the junk that's on the property.
Yeah, that doesn't sound right. I mean, yeah, because the process is you issue the NOV.
Yeah.
The only time you would issue another NOV is if ownership changed.
The property is owned by a religious institution, Gurdwara, here, and I just wonder if the city is reluctant.
If you want, I can get with you afterwards, and I can look it up. I have the database here. I can look it up and see exactly what's going on. So I'll give it to you after this is over.
Can I follow up with a question?
Yes.
So if they are not compliant and they go to the hearing, and then they're given another 35 days, then what is their incentive to get it done? Does it escalate in cost?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So
Okay,
The response I got, it just kind of implied that you could just ignore this.
because if
oh,
you
no,
can go back,
you can't. The fines increase.
yeah,
so
if
it
you can
starts
go
off-
back and pay $30 every time, there's no
Oh,
incentive.
no. Okay, yeah, no, so the fines increase. So if they went to the court here, or if they didn't show up, a lot of times people don't show up for the arraignment, they don't show up for the hearing, and then, okay, so they're found responsible. It's a default. They're found responsible by default. They don't show up. But the case doesn't get closed. The inspector goes back out there. If the property's still in violation, he takes photos, he issues a second citation. The thing is, the inspector will not, our policy states that the inspector is not supposed to issue more than 3 citations. Now with the second citation, the fines increase. So the first violation, with the citation, it's $100 per fine, per violation, per fine. So if there's grass and weeds, that's $100. If there's trash and litter, that's $100. However many violations there are, say there's 8 violations on a property, that's $800, so $100 per violation. Now, if they didn't pay, if they didn't show up, he goes back out there the second time, now the fines increase to, is it 500 or 250?
More than double.
It's more than the first one, it's 250 or 500. And then say they don't show up to that one. Now the third one, he issues the third citation, same thing, 8 times, I wanna say it can go up to $2,500 a fine. So the fines increase. Now, if the citation process isn't working, Where a person, we just can't get them to court, even if we personally serve them. Now we got the abatement process, and I'm gonna go through that. That's like the final resort. There's abatement process and there's criminal, but criminal is like, that rarely happens, but abatement, that happens when we can't get resolution through the citation process. We're always going to abatement, because that gets things done, and I'll go through it and I'll show you what it does.
And Frank, but we do just have a couple of minutes left, so I definitely want us to.
Yeah, I'll fly through it. I'll fly through it. So abatement. So this is like the last resort. So it covers lot cleaning, so grass and weeds, trash and litter, board ups for vacant, unsecured properties, and demolition of properties that have been fire damaged and, really bad properties. So they pull a property title report. This is when the citation process doesn't work. For that property has been issued 3 citations. They got $10,000 in fines. We're gonna send it to the abatement program. So they're gonna pull a property title report to find out who the actual owner is on this property. We're gonna issue them a 35-day certified notice of violation. So now, if they don't correct the violations, on this notice, it doesn't say, now you're gonna get a citation, it says no. Now, if you don't correct the violations, you're gonna get a lien put against your property in the amount of $10,000. So if they don't correct the violations, when we come back on the 36th day, now we have the right to bring our contractors onto the property and correct the violations. If it's a dead tree, if the property has all the windows broken out, we're gonna board all the windows, we're gonna remove the graffiti, we're gonna cut the grass and weeds, and then we're gonna put a lien against the property. So that's how it works. That's how we get resolution. I used to be in the abatement, on the abatement team, and I mean, that's what we did. I mean, then here's a before and after, and this is actually like one of the more mild properties. I mean, we have the worst of the worst, so yeah, that's the abatement program. So NEC resources, I got a bunch of stuff back there on the table. We have our inspection staff, we have tool lending program that we work with neighborhood groups on, bins that we work with them for cleanups, our volunteer assistance program, graffiti busters, hardship assistance for people who are, that don't have the financials, but they need to have their roof fixed. They have a huge street, it's gonna cost $5,000. Home repairs program. We have, here's like our big business card that's back there that has the same information here. Gated alley program, just wanna talk about this really quick. This is a pilot program that went into effect on 2022, but it was so great that they put it into effect permanently. The program is resident driven, process that requires an applicant and the consent of the majority of the property owners whose properties are adjacent to the alley to be gated. Renters are not eligible to sign the petition. Eligible criteria is must be city of owned alley, must have a permanent sound fencing at least 5 feet in height along the length of the entire of the alley. Having 10 fence is not eligible. And then also having, must not have parking or commercial solid waste collection for multifamily housing or businesses. Also must not be used for commercial solid waste collection or commercial operation, such as deliveries. And then if currently used for residential solid waste collection by Phoenix Public Works solid waste pickup, must be able to transition to curbside services per Public Works review. This is the flyer that's back there, it has a QR code that takes you right to the website. It's a great program, it's totally free. It gets rid of all the nonsense in the alleys, homeless encampments, the homeless looking over the fence to try to rob stuff in your backyard. I mean, it's a great program.
Illegal dumping.
Illegal dumping, I mean, yeah, you name it. All the bad stuff that goes on in the alley, and you get you still have access to your alley. They give you a code to the gates on each side of the alley, so.
I got a question about that.
Yes.
How do you get that code? Because I live in one of those alleys that is closed off to both ends.
So they mail it out to you. They actually mail out a letter to you. My alley got gated, and they mail it out. But if once this is over, I'll get with you and I'll make sure that we get you the code as well.
Okay.
This is the gated alleys, what the gated alley program request looks like. This is the form. This is the FAQ for the gated alley. I got all the information over there. City resources, who can I call? This is like the top stuff that I get hit with at meetings. So this is back there as well. It's for homeless encampments, homeless at bus stops, authority to arrest form and information, street parking, traffic or speeding concerns, illegal dumping, trash recycling, or trash concerns, overhead weeds in alleys, speed bumps, speed humps information, also a link to neighborhood traffic programs and services, code of conduct violations at Phoenix Park, so crazy stuff going on at city parks, that's the information, police department stuff, neighborhood services department, also graffiti, other stuff, gated alley, and then My Phoenix 311. Everybody familiar with My Phoenix 311? It's the best. It's an ultimate reporting tool. Is what it looks like when you get on there. You can do so many things on it. It's the one-stop shop. Phoenix Cares for homelessness. That's a coordinated effort, coordinated response to address homelessness. Phone directory, I have that back there as well. This is for all the city services. How can you help? You're already doing it. You're here, so thank you for being here. See something, say something, because there's probably a city service or some agency that can handle it. And thank you. Anybody else have any questions? No? Okay. So I'm gonna give it to you, and we're gonna get that, and then we're gonna get you the code.
Thank you, Frank.
Yes, you're welcome.
So appreciate it. All right. For anyone who's arrived recently, we maybe could do a little bit more communication. We were trying out a new meeting format tonight where we were kind of starting with social time and snacks at 6, official meeting at 6:30 to 7:30-ish. Actually, we're only a couple minutes over, so that's great. And then a little bit more social time while we get their space cleaned up. We thought this might be a nice way for neighbors to connect, and we're not necessarily rushing to set up, at least that's the idea. So feel free to give us feedback on this format. Obviously, other things are different, being that we're not at a restaurant, so being here versus somewhere else. We like to understand where you all prefer to meet. This is a great space for like seminar and kind of meeting stuff, but obviously there's some other factors. But either way, we're supporting, a great neighborhood organization. So I do appreciate you coming. Our board, there's 5 of us here tonight. We're going to be around for a little while while we clean up. Feel free to come chat with us about anything. We can review any of the slides that maybe you missed, but I won't make everybody sit through that. So thank you so much for coming. If you want to take some steps to go, please do. If there's any other questions for me or the CNA, anything I can help with? Cool. Well, thank you